on the cold edges of the Montana frontier, where mountains rose like giants in the wind, carried secrets from one valley to the next. People often said that mountain men lived by their instincts. They didn't follow rules, nor were they swayed by beauty or charm. They listened to the earth, the storms, and the quiet voice of truth inside them. And on one bitter winter morning, when the village gathered around the trading post, something happened that no one expected. Before the story begins, make sure you subscribe to the channel because this tale will shake your heart and remind you why true worth is never found on the surface. The women of the settlement stood in a line, laughing softly, adjusting their braided hair and shawls as they watched him arrive. Elias Harper, the mountain man, tall, broad-shouldered, beard thick like the forest itself, eyes sharp as a hawk. Everyone knew he rarely came down from the high ridges, where he lived alone in a cabin built by his own hands. He had rescued hunters, tracked wolves, survived blizzards, and was rumored to have once fought a grizzly with nothing but a knife. The women adored him. They dreamed that one day he might choose one of them to share his life in the mountains. But today, their excitement filled the air thicker than the falling snow. Because today, Elias was coming to choose a wife. That's what the talk around town said. The most beautiful women stood close, trying to capture his attention. Clara, with her golden braids and bright blue eyes. Mary Ann, who wore a new dress she spent months stitching. Eleanor, known for her laughter that sounded like bells. Every pair of eyes watched Elias as he moved, silent and unreadable, past the stalls and hitching posts. But Elias did not look at any of them. His gaze drifted across the crowd like someone searching for something he had lost long ago. Then suddenly his steps stopped. The crowd followed his line of sight and gasped because he was staring at her. A girl nobody noticed. A girl the world treated like shadow. Her name was Rowan. She stood apart, clothes ragged, face smudged with soot from the forge where she worked. While other women spent hours braiding hair and practicing smiles, Rowan worked in silence, fixing metal tools, hammering horseshoes, patching pots for old widows. She wasn't the kind people looked at twice. Until now. Elias walked straight toward her, and whispers shot through the crowd like sparks. Why her? He must be mistaken. She's not even dressed properly, but Rowan didn't move. Her brown eyes widened slightly, but her hand stayed still on the horseshoe she had been shaping. Elias stopped in front of her, towering over her small frame. His voice was low, gentle, a contrast to his fierce appearance. "You're the only one here who isn't pretending," he said. She blinked, confused. "What?" "Everyone else," he continued, nodding toward the crowd, "is trying to show what they think I want. You're just being yourself." Rowan looked away, embarrassed. "I'm not here to be chosen. I'm just working. And that," Elias said, "is exactly why I'm choosing you." Gasps rippled through the gathered crowd. Clara's jaw dropped. Mary Ann's eyes narrowed. Eleanor clenched her fists. Rowan, shocked, whispered, "You don't even know me." Elias tilted his head, studying her. "I know enough. I've seen you help widows carry firewood. I've seen you give your lunch to hungry children. I've seen you walk home, alone in the freezing dark after fixing tools for people who don't bother thanking you." Rowan's eyes softened. No one had ever noticed those things, not even her own family. "Beauty fades," Elias said quietly, "but character stays. I don't want a woman who shines on the outside. I want one whose heart shines even when no one is watching." A hush fell over the street. For a moment, Rowan forgot the dirt on her face, the ragged sleeves, the whispers. Elias held out his hand. "Walk with me." Rowan hesitated, heart pounding. The beautiful women behind her stared in disbelief, their envy sharp like the cold. She knew accepting his hand would change everything. She knew it would make her a target of their anger. But she also knew this was the first time someone saw her, not as a servant, not as a shadow, but as a human worth choosing. Slowly, Rowan reached out her hand. But before she could touch his, a scream erupted from the other end of the street. A woman stumbled out of the saloon, breathless, pointing toward the mountains. "Help! Something's wrong up there! Something terrible!" Elias's expression hardened. What happened? "The logging camp," she cried. "An avalanche. People are trapped." Elias turned to Rowan, urgency in his eyes. "Come with me." And without waiting for the crowd, he grabbed his gear and ran toward the mountains, Rowan running right behind him, unaware that the choice he made today would soon reveal a truth deeper than any of them knew. As Elias and Rowan sprinted toward the towering white mountains, The world behind them fell away. The gossiping crowd, the jealous stares, the whispers of shock. The snow crunched under their boots as the wind howled down the ridge, carrying with it the distant echo of cries from the logging camp. Rowan's breath burned in her chest, but she kept running, refusing to fall behind. She didn't know why Elias wanted her with him, why he trusted her, why he had chosen someone like her in front of everyone, but there was something in his eyes, something unspoken, that pushed her forward. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this chapter reveals the truth about why the mountain man ignored beauty and followed a heart the world always overlooked. By the time they reached the foot of the mountain, smoke was rising in the distance. Rowan's heart clenched when she saw broken trees scattered like fallen soldiers, snow churned into muddy piles, and men shouting desperately as they tried digging through the collapsed tents and cabins. Elias didn't hesitate. He rushed straight toward the wreckage and dropped to his knees, beside a man trapped under a log. "Rowan!" he shouted. "I need you here!" She slid beside him, gripping the freezing end of the log with trembling hands. Together, they pushed with all their strength. Elias roared as muscles bulged beneath his coat. Rowan gritted her teeth, and with a final heave, the log rolled off the injured man. Rowan immediately tore her shawl and wrapped the man's bleeding leg, her hands swift and steady. The foreman watching nearby widened his eyes. You know what you're doing." Rowan didn't look up. "Someone has to." Elias gave her a quick glance, proud, grateful, almost amazed. "Stay close," he said. "I need you." For hours they worked side by side. Rowan soothed injured boys, tied splints, melted snow in pots so the men could drink, and climbed into collapsed cabins small enough for her to crawl through. Multiple times Elias pulled entire beams away, trusting Rowan to go in where he couldn't fit, and each time she emerged dusty, shivering, but carrying someone's child, someone's husband, someone's father. Whispers began spreading through the camp. "Who is that girl? Where did she learn this? She's braver than the men." As the last survivor was hauled free, Rowan sat on a rock, exhausted, her fingers numb and blue. Elias approached slowly, stopping in front of her. "You saved more lives today than anyone else," he said. Rowan shook her head. "No, you did." Elias knelt down, eyes locked onto hers. "Rowan, you don't understand. Anyone can be beautiful. Anyone can pretend. But strength like yours?" He tapped her chest lightly. "That comes from inside. That's the kind of strength that keeps families alive in the mountains." She swallowed hard, her breath trembling. "Why are you saying all this?" Elias hesitated, then spoke softly. "Because I didn't choose you today." Rowan blinked. "What do you mean?" "I chose you months ago," he said. Rowan froze. Elias continued, voice steady but gentle. "You don't know this, but last winter, when the storm trapped the Miller boy in his home, you were the one who went out into the blizzard with a lantern. Everyone else waited for help. You didn't. You walked alone through the snow, freezing, risking your life, just to save a child that wasn't even related to you." Rowan's eyes widened, her lips parted. She didn't know anyone had seen her that night. "I was hunting nearby," Elias said. "I saw you fall twice in the snow. I saw you wrap that boy in your coat and carry him back, even when your knees buckled. I followed from a distance to make sure you made it." Rowan stared at the ground, shocked. Why didn't you say anything?" "Because people like you," Elias replied, "don't help to be seen. You help because that's who you are. And people like me," he exhaled slowly, "we notice." Rowan felt tears sting her eyes, but she blinked them back. She had never felt seen, never felt valued, never felt understood until this moment. "The women back in town," Elias said, glancing toward the horizon. "They shine in the daylight. They're beautiful, charming, graceful, but only when eyes are on them." His voice deepened. "You shine in the dark, when nobody's watching. That's the kind of woman I want beside me in the mountains. Someone who doesn't break when the world gets cold." Rowan's voice trembled. "Elias, I'm not special." Elias shook his head firmly. "You are the most extraordinary person I've ever known." She looked up, meeting his gaze, and saw, for the first time, something she had never expected in the eyes of the mountain man. Admiration. And something dangerously close to love. Before she could speak, the foreman approached. "You two saved us all. If you hadn't come—" Elias lifted a hand. "Thank her," he said. nodding toward Rowan. She saved more than I did. The foreman tipped his hat respectfully, something Rowan had never received from anyone before. As the camp calmed and men began rebuilding, Elias stood and offered his hand, this time without a crowd watching. Without pressure, without judgment, just truth. "Come back with me to the mountains," he said softly. "Not because I need someone, but because I choose you." Rowan hesitated, not out of fear but out of awe. She looked at her soot-covered hands, at the snow-dusted ground, at the sky burning orange above the peaks. No man had ever chosen her for her strength. No one had ever looked at her the way Elias did. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. His grip was warm, steady, grounding. Together, they began walking toward the distant cabin hidden in the trees, toward a new life, a new beginning, a new story no one in the settlement would ever forget. And that, dear viewer, is why the mountain man ignored the beautiful women and chose the girl whose heart shone brighter than all of them combined.